Hello. This is In Real Time. Hello. This is Doom Eternal in Real Time, a guided tour of my experience with a video game. Thank you very much. Here's the video. Fucking stupid. That's fine. That's good. Just fucking stop it. So these videos on Doom Eternal exist to talk about one specific moment that I haven't gotten to yet. That's in this video. I found Doom 2016 to be a transcendental experience. It changed the way that I do basically everything. That sounds like an exaggeration, but it's not. And for the first several hours, I didn't really enjoy Doom Eternal. Do not get me wrong, there is a lot to love about this video game. It is fast, goofy, and fast. Too fast, almost. And when it hits, it hits. But it's got some deep down sicknesses with a variety of symptoms. This one moment reframed everything that came before. Suddenly I understood many of the choices the devs made that before wasn't really hitting that well. When the game came out in spring of 2020, I
had some extra time.
So I just decided to jump into this project. I didn't know how much work it would be. I didn't know how long the videos were going to be. And I underestimated everything. I wanted tightly scripted, edited, long-form, deep analysis, and it was just way too much. My original plan was for 7 of these motherfucking videos. I wanted too much. In the time since I started, I've gone to school, learned a lot, made some other stuff, worked for some other people, and now I can't move on. I need to finish, but this project's too bloated. So, fine. I'm just gonna finish it, whether or not it's too bloated. It's probably gonna be good, though. I like it so far. It's not done yet. So I'm gonna sit right here, in front of this little camera, in front of my microphone, and I'm just gonna read through my script from beginning to end before I go do anything else today. I'm just gonna go through everything else that I have written down about this goddamn video game, because I can't think about it anymore. Well, I can't think of any other stuff to say right now. Do you want my bird? Let me know in the comments. Rosemary, are you upside down? Okay, so last time on In Real Time, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna be so fucking, because after ripping and learning through the first hour of Doom Eternal in episode 1, yeah, that's funny, ripping and learning, because it's like ripping and tearing, except it's learning. We progressed through the progression systems in episode 2, and also spent a really long time talking about a mostly silent protagonist in a first-person shooting action game. If none of that made any sense to you, you probably did not watch the first 2 episodes, which is fine. I referenced them, but it's a YouTube video, so who really cares? Just have fun, because hello, this is In Real Time. I'm not going to say first, but before I saw it. So just don't say anything to me about it. So this slide's called Entering the Cultist Base. It's not a fun name. This saga continues 20 relatively blood-free minutes into day 2 of my playthrough of Doom Eternal. After dinking around in my half-god, half-man cave, portaling to the cultist base, and reading a comic, I crack open a 6er of Spittin' Gargoyle IPA. Refreshing, like a crisp, tight summer's morning dew. Then, I get stuck. So bad, I restart my checkpoint in frustration. In hindsight, the solution is incredibly obvious. This big fucking blue glowing spot. But at the time, I didn't think I could jump that far. This moment was frustrating, but in retrospect, I like it. This is tutorialization without pop-ups. After this moment, I never really doubted my horizontal leap again. Sure, it made me rage quit, but that struggle taught me a lesson, and that is kind of a theme to the cultist base. Though, so far, I haven't gotten into much of a fight, and I am getting kind of itchy. Doom Eternal doesn't have any lotion, but it does have a big, sharp claw. Ready to scratch that itch for me. The big, sharp claw ready to scratch that itch for me. That joke is gross. After this fast and flirty fight, I find bones. Big bones underwater. That's like a James Bond joke, but it doesn't make any sense. Shoot this red thing, which is a secret. Then I find another secret. Then I get tempted by this extra life and try to get it for a while. Until I give up and press a big green skull-shaped button to advance. As the doors open, bad guys rush in and try to flamethrower me. But I also can flamethrower too. As I expertly dispatch them, my quarry, Neelox, gets on his demonic citadel's PA system to taunt me. Let's see if you're strong enough to survive this cursed citadel. Am I strong enough, huh? Typical bad guy blustering, right? Then, I'm attacked by a Hell Knight, who's kind enough to demonstrate Doom Eternal's fantastic demo damage system. My plasma rifle takes hefty chunks out of his hunky bod. This kind of feedback, instant, specific, and goopy imagery paired with big, painful-looking reactions, is itself a hefty chunk of Doom Eternal's hunky game feel. That's a gross and hard-to-understand way of saying that when our big, powerful guns make these big, powerful demons wince and falter in pain, ripping off chunks of their flesh like they're Jurassic Park toys, it makes us feel bigger and powerfuler. Creating power fantasy is about more than just the player. It's about making the world react to the player as well. Did you know? Did you know that? I bet you fucking didn't. You're learning so much at this YouTube video. From this YouTube video. From me. From my YouTube video. The next room introduces the Mancubus, the biggest and probably stinkiest bad guy introduced so far. This big beaver brandishes dual Mega Man arms in a bod like a first-generation Hummer. He functions like a tank, slowly pursuing the Doom guy wherever he goes, devastating at range and explosively dangerous up close. I put up a decent fight with the first, disabling both weak points, and then pierce his pungent coconut. Then, immediately, two more spawn. I rush in, almost do something cool, get ganked in a corner by a couple of stanky imps, lose an extra life, bail once a Mank shows up, try to focus fire his weak points with the wrong gun, keep circling, trying to stay alive while these barf bags are hot in my tail, brain spike one, and then get burnt up by the other. Take 2 goes worse. Take 3 starts a bit more conservative. I dance around these slumpy chumps, setting up a group belch so I'm armored up for my showdown with big ol' Blowfist Grump. Grumpy shows up, gets frozen up, and broken up. I fall back and hide behind the crates, waiting for the other 2 to show, then come out swinging. I take shelter in the hallway, make effective use of my restorative tools, and try to stand and fight one of the tanks with the plasma rifle, which does not go well. There are 2 mistakes I make constantly for the next few fights. 1, using chip damage guns like the plasma rifle or heavy cannon for weak points when burst damage is more effective. And 2, I don't treat the Mancubi with the proper respect. They're gross, but for some reason I always want to get up close to them where they can do an AoE that hurts a lot. Here, those mistakes cost me. By take 4, ouch! My blood is hot. I'm able to disarm the first Mank seconds after smelling his stank. I catch the other coming around the corner with a chainsaw, though I'm pretty sure that I got lucky here. Based on later footage, I think I still didn't really understand how the chainsaw worked with heavy demons, how they need all 3 charges, but I just want to let you know, for the last, I don't take any chances. I leap out of cover and Chrono Strike, blasting the final baddie before he can react. Stunned by my dramatic entrance, Big Beaver gets served some bits of his own beef, transforming him into a gastrointestinal grenade. I've been trying to think of a better word than transforming for that line since I wrote it. I want another bee in there. I don't know how to do it. Rosemary, looks like you got bunny ears right now. Oh, are you embarrassed? The next fight is just tragic. It starts fine, but turns when I hyper-focus on the Arachnotron's weak point. I dance in front of him, trying to get a shot at his blaster, but instead turn myself into a carnival game, giving him and the Demomen behind me some intermediate-level target practice. Then I dash past some armor and health pickups, blast some baddies with some big red bombs, and then barrel into some bullets and burst, disgorging my
tangy intestines onto the icy sun.
Red circle means it's going, or it's ready.
This challenging early boss in From Software's Bloodborne is a gut check, an early obstacle. They're to block players who haven't developed the skills necessary to progress. Father Gascoigne is there to demand that the player meet the game on its terms. Take 2 doesn't start much better. I wang this flame belch, stand way too still, keep trying and failing to use the microwave beam. It's a risky mod, and I'm clearly unequipped to adequately assess that risk. I'm actually like 90% sure that they have buffed the microwave beam over the years, but that's not my problem. When I made it, it sucked, and I haven't used it since, so as far as I'm concerned, it still sucks. Despite this, I still managed to claw my way through, and get her on electric floor, and then acquire the cultist key. Great. They say that fools rush in, and I have to say, I bet this Hell Knight wishes that someone had taught him that lesson. Then I hide behind the crates, rush in, and do you like that bit? Controlled aggression, good footwork, and clever chaining together of invincible hurting animations, and a more developed understanding of the resource management gets me through on my second attempt. Instead of meeting the teased energy weirdos, I decide to sniff around for some treats. My snoot leads me around the obstacle I couldn't pass before to find a... What? I find a free man, which is still the wrong way to say extra life. It's been like 20 years since I've heard somebody call it that, but I'm still upset about it. I keep sniffing, and I find another treat, the rocket launcher, and then I find some butt brains to try it out on. I test it out with maybe not quite enough focus on self-preservation, leading to wasting my extra life, which is very irritating, because I wasn't even really trying. I'd have rather just taken the L. Actually, this is the perfect amount of stupid for something like this. The secret is gonna be... Okay, I'm glad that one, I think that one worked out.
I think my favorite part was as you climbed through, your ass was like all up in the
Actually, this is a good spot to briefly talk about extra lives. It's a mechanic that I kind of want to like, but kind of don't. It's a mechanic that I have a note here that says describe the mechanic. It's an extra life. You pick one up, you die, you come back to life. That's it. It skips the press space to reload the checkpoint. So, pros. Number 1, it's a cute joke about Doom Eternal's retro roots. Wait, what's a retro? Cassie, how do you play Mario song?
No, you had it. Oh, the other note. Yeah. No, you should have gone down. No, that's the wrong song.
2 extra lives add to Doom's hurt, get hurt, hurt, recover, hurt loop. Sometimes you're almost through an encounter, just barely get got, and then the extra life gives you the boost you need to finish the fight. How do you play the Halo 3 theme song? But just as often, they'll pop in moments like this, where I'm unfocused or not really trying, where I'd rather just have the fresh start. One could argue that losing one is an effective motivator to try to turn a failing run around. And I'd agree with that more if they weren't also a reward for exploration and puzzle solving, often requiring as much effort as other permanent upgrades. So losing one like this kind of sucks. I used to, whenever I was a little kid, I came up with a song on the piano, and I called it Stomp Stomp Godzilla, and it went like this. I wish the player had a choice whether or not to use them. If the player was prompted to either use the extra life or die, maybe I wouldn't have felt like such junk for wasting Freeman. Maybe they're automatic for balance reasons, though I think a small cap like allowing the player a maximum of 3 at a time would keep them from being too effective. Maybe it's like this for another reason that I can't see. All I know is that throughout my playthrough, they resulted in more yucky feelings than good ones. Okay. That's this one. Okay. Goodbye, Rosemary. Take 2. Starts with a cool rocket blast. A Mancubus disarm, but I get too close to him, take a stink load of damage, and then I blow myself up. Take 3 starts with a fancy maneuver, but again, I get too close and he stings me up. After another decent shot, I hop over a wall, and take 4, and take 5. Before take 6, I take a moment to keybind Futz. I'm still struggling to find a setup that I can be comfortable with. I keep an appropriate distance from the Mank this time, but then I blow up my butt. Finally take a Mancubi off the board early and take 7, turn around and do 78 points of self-damage. And take 8 shows my growing understanding of the rhythm of these big arena fights. I'm still too static while I go toe-to-toe with this Mank and take lots of damage, but when his buds show up, I run the fuck away. I pop a belch, grab some skin-thickening candy. Here's a good example of the Cacodemons' weak point as an interesting piece of a larger combat encounter, as teased in the very first YouTube video that I made. After feeding him his treat, I pause to let it do its dirty work, then claim my baby blue bounty, treating him like a grenade-activated health potion. Isn't that right, Cassie? Are you a grenade-activated health potion? No, you're just a special dog whom I love so much. I stay hidden, letting them come to me, perform probably the most successful microwave beam of my entire life. And even though my final enemy is bloodied and mangled, I don't want to take any chances, so I retreat, circling the arena for health pickups, and with a comfortable amount of padding, I charge the Mono Mank, my rocket blast, freeing his spinal stank. I'm frazzled, fumble, and fire off the belch by mistake, just a little more tweaking. And one day I'll learn how to control this video game. I must be running out of juice because somehow it takes me a full minute to make the obvious choice for my next rune. Air mobility. Then an extra mobile hop, skip, and jump away. I squish a skull, open the door, step into green. Whoa, criminy! I just got out of a big mean fight and they're already... Oh, come on, man. Maybe if I change. Maybe if I just change. No, that's dumb. This next enemy combo, the newly introduced swift, hard-to-hit whiplashes and a phalanx of photonically reinforced freaks, is relentless, circling, and overwhelming, I will admit. After clearing some, I'm beaten and depleted, so I run, using corners to set up heals and quick kills, barely making it out. I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I'm tired, worn down, tough fight after tough fight. And then this next one, I have in parentheses here, it says dead. So presumably I died. So the cultist base has introduced the Mancubus, Shield Guy, and the Whiplash. There have been several fights so far with Mancubi, some backup, sometimes lots of backup, but never anything meaner than a Cacodemon or a Revenant with it here. It says double check this, please. I don't know if I ever did that, but I'm probably right. But this next fight, y'all get ready for this. Get ready for this little bit of internet referential humor. But this next fight is as diverse and well attended as Game Master Anthony's 33rd birthday party. Arachnotrons, Cacodemons, Whiplashes, Mancubi, every type of fodder demon. Bring it in, guys! Everything we fought so far in a large and circular arena. Okay, I'm gonna have to put you down, Cassie. My target, Neelix, shows himself via hologram. He's no longer taunting me. Instead, he's offering his version of leadership for his demonic forces. I hold my own for a while, and then I quit. So ends Day 2 of Doom Eternal. You're probably not supposed to do this on your own human body. Fade in, Day 3. Fresh face and ready for a brand new day. I get off to a pretty good start. After this one.
The fuck? Okay.
This one doesn't count.
Come on, man. I was trying to fucking smoke some dang weed.
I open with some nasty rockets. Too slow to grab the glory kill. Retreat, reorient, surprised by Caco, snack and whack him, circle the arena. Hanging in some cover, waiting for my moment. Flame belch. I stumble around a bit before extremely clumsily giving the Mancubus the business. And that business is improvisational brain surgery. Pop some soldiers, retreat, spy in a rack, ready myself to take him on. Let him have it as best I can, get his laser, bungle the takedown. I'm dodging and weaving through the arena, trying to keep something in between me and my pursuers until I'm ready for them. And when I am, I try to hit fast and hard before darting away again. My blood gets hot.
I'm not afraid of them. They're afraid of me.
I'm not afraid of them. They're afraid of me. Neck twist, ice bomb, missile blast, candy snack, blast him up, flame belch, out of ammo, dodge and weave the melee enemies, almost down, but not out. Manky, eggs and banky, blood, hot. Retreat, health, rocket, retreat, reorient, oh shit. Music calms down, who's left?
I hear something. I'm not alone. Fuck me. That's a very bad thing to still be alive. Eat my huffs. You fucking narc!
With my final rocket. Eat my huffs, you narc. Yesterday, I clawed my way through the cultist base. Every fight was an ordeal, each ordealier than the last. Hello, Rosemary. Every fight had either new enemies, new combinations of enemies. This fight here stuck in my mind. Not because of the triumph, though. I remember yesterday. I remember this is another brick in the cultist base wall that I had to rip and tear through with my bare hands, which is not good for your nails. I remember the exhaustion. I remember the clumsy fingers fumbling for controls as new tools and mechanics and enemies and complexity piled on top of each other. I remember it defeating me still 2.5 years later. And that's a shame because after revisiting this footage, I really do think I had the best experience possible. After the struggle and defeat of yesterday, I returned, rested, my muscle memory settled, my controls finally mapped comfortably, and I ripped through this in a single go. That's cool. That's neat. more or less, you know? Okay. Necessitating a quick parry to interrupt the vicious attack.
A Rick Perry?
Shut up. The cultist base, like Father Gascoigne in Bloodborne, is the first significant difficulty spike in Doom Eternal. To get through, the player needs to internalize certain lessons about positioning, resource management, the split-second strategies required to progress. This level is the second most important to unraveling how Doom Eternal works, and I will be talking about it, and the first most important, in a later video. It says later video, but it's just this one now. It's just the one. There's a squirrel running around up there. That's fun. All that said, by the way, if you're wondering, that like change in light is because I also color my slides. And this is a like progression and exploration slide, which means that it's yellow. This is a slide that has one of the points in it, like one of the main ideas, and this is a fight slide, which means it's red. So if you don't like the way that the lighting's changing, to be honest, I don't either. All that said, maybe the brick wall I remember is this weird monkey bar puzzle that I spend almost the same amount of time on as the fight. I was missing an important part of it, though. Even with that, the timer's too short and the reward isn't worth it. You know, I don't know how I wanted to do this. I always imagined this as me kicking open a door whenever I said, you know, here.
What if you come from behind the couch?
You know, I'm starting to see that there's a subtle difference. They're usually a reward for extra challenging platforming segments. Since they're less important than permanent upgrades, players like me earlier might feel more comfortable just bailing on them, since it's just an extra life. It's still kind of backwards because the things that are harder to get are less important, but I still stand by what I said earlier, and of course because of how videos work, I could have said this earlier, but I didn't want to do that.
Fuck it.
I continue to the next room,
Maybe I'll get something.
where my target's hollow projection stands, surrounded by a buffet table stuffed with succulent supplicants, which I fucked the fuck up for fun. A short while later, I get into a fight in a blood-soaked pit. It's vicious, dumping heavy hitter after heavy hitter. The final wave, a pair of Mancubi, almost kills me several different times, but my quick feet keep me going. Quick feet keep me going. Not my quick feet sounds gross. My quick feet sounds gross. My quick feet sounds so gross as they're... That's what they sound like whenever I'm running across the tiles, whenever my quick feet are running across the...
You!
I end the fight drained of ammunition, but pumped full of adrenaline. Then I mind control a revenant and force him to grab the soup or shotgun for me. This bit is a cute little diversion that isn't repeated in the campaign, but it is a clever way to entice any single players out there to try out the multiplayer mode where you can control demons. I mean, it didn't work for me, but I'm sure it worked on someone. I never played it, the multiplayer. I don't care. I'm never going to, probably. Sorry, Cliff Bleszinski or whoever made this fucking video game. That's a joke. I know who made this video game. I say a prayer to id.
Please tell me it doesn't.
Id's who made this game. Companies make games, not people. Okay? Corporate brands make video games, not people. Corporate brands like id Software and Cliff Bleszinski make video games, not people.
Please tell me it doesn't just die. Please tell me I get to kill it.
Which is immediately granted.
With the super shotgun. Please tell me I kill it with the super shotgun. Yes! Ah!
God bless video games. Then, a small room designed to be the perfect place to try out my new toy. There's a gap I can cross with the Super Shotgun's meat hook, and one rich, well-behaved little boy's worth of tidily wrapped Christmas presents, begging to be untidily unwrapped. Some just contain goodies. Most contain baddies, clustered at the Super Shotgun's preferred point-blank range. Though, I didn't notice this at first. First, I just fight them normally, and by normally, I mean very badly.
Rip me.
Maybe it's the Christmas spirit overwhelming my cognitive function. Once I start taking the challenge a little bit more seriously, I'm able to clear the room only to unwrap the final present and find that it is full of shotgun shells. Full. It's all there is in there. There's like a whole bunch of them on the ground.
Alright. Well, it's just shotgun shells?
The pieces fall in place. I restart the encounter and try to use the super salad, shotgun, almost exclusively. I don't have time to go into detail about how good a gun this is, but it's very good. The grappling hook is good. You can spin around whoever you're going after. Its final upgrade lights the unfortunate meat hooked monsters on fire, which makes them drop armor, which means that it's a cooldownless armor recovery tool. That changes the game when you get it, man. It's good. It's good. It's good. Up next, one of my favorite flavor of fights, the dude tunnel. A dude tunnel is a tunnel, usually with traps or an environmental hazard, full of dudes. Shoot, stomp, smash. Dude tunnel. Only $19.99. Ask a grown-up before going online. Then a platforming challenge with a fantastic, eerie choral soundtrack. I try my first super gore nest. And then I don't try it again. I find this terrible fish, who I hate, knock over this no-tummy having dweeb, and then my intent whenever I wrote take a train to the Terror Dome is take a train to the Terror Dome! But I feel too goofy saying that right now in this particular context, and Rosemary's looking at me like she did not like it whenever I said take a train to the Terror Dome! She just wants to find out where that sound is coming from. Take a train to the Terror Dome! But first, the final fight. At least at the cultist base. Fight opens with a wasted blood punch. Hopping around, dropping little ones, hook blasting a Reaper. See, I always call it Reaper. Revenant. Hook blasting a Revenant. Falling off a cliff, then this fun little reverse boost, a little brawl, a Hail Mary, sticky grenade, quip, intentional, weapon, switching, a Hell Knight spots me, and the guitars kick in. hopping, evading my pursuers. More intentional weapon switching. Hopping, evading my pursuer. More intentional weapon switching. I'm just leaving it. Weapon switching. That's actually what I meant to write, was weapon switching. I wrote weapon, but I meant weapon. Rosemary doesn't need to switch weapons. She's got this powerful weapon right here. I know from earlier, one good rocket triplet will knock an Arachno off the board. I use that information to set up a quick glory kill, make this Revenant 360 kickflip to death. Still evading the Hell Knight, snacking on this soldier, recovering, beef him, get whiplashed, get the fuck out of there. Low health, gulp some potions, fuck more. Low health, snack on some healthy packs, good to go, dive back in, beef an ice bomb, then what? I'm pretty sure that I laughed in the recording, so I probably don't need to use that laugh, but whip lash, more like whip blasted. Bad belch, blasting the beats. Increase the heat. Boxing with Big Buford, Chrono Strike. Who's left? And cleanup. Oh boy. Oh man. Oh. Holy shit, dude. Oh. Oh. Ugh. That was something. That's all scripted, by the way. This is what it looks like.
Woo! Boy. Oh, man. Holy shit, dude.
After I come down from the high of that incredible fight, it's time to take a train to the Terra Down. My only complaint about the train to the Terra Down is that it's not long enough. I wanted more train fight. It's a great set piece. I want more train fight. Then I find this. Okay, so this next chunk of gameplay isn't particularly relevant to the creator video, so I'm leaving it out of the public cut. However, it will be available as part of the director's cut, which you can find at patreon.com/xxinrealtimexx. Thank you very much. This fight is in a big arena, with plenty of places to hide and jump pads to help you get from one side to the other. I use the environment to my advantage, leaping from one side of the room to the other with a train of demons in pursuit, not the train of the Terror Dome. This is a different train. This is a figurative train. I have control over the fight. I know where the bad guys are. I know where and when it's safe to engage. Compare this to a fight in the cultist base. I'm moving my body, but I mostly stay in one corner of the arena, allowing Mancubi to surround and destroy me over and over and over and over and over and over and over, until I learn my lesson. By the end of that fight, I'm using the entire arena, forcing the Mancs around corners, keeping me safe, but making them dead. I talked about this a bit in the last video, but it bears repeating because it's the whole story behind this game, in my opinion. Doom Eternal has a very specific way that it wants you to play. I said it, not id, but both apply. Game director Hugo Martin calls it the fun zone. When you aren't in the fun zone, moving, weapon switching, switching mods, using the flame belch for armor, using the ice bomb, shooting weak points, using chainsaws for ammo, etc., 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 then you die. It's as simple as that.
We're comfortable with frustrating the player. Just so long as we have something to teach you, what we're doing is pushing you into a more fun style of play, we promise.
On Noclip's podcast, the one that I cited a lot in the previous things, and I'm going to continue for the rest of this video, which is the rest of the time that I'm ever going to talk about Doom Eternal for the rest of my life, Hugo Martin says,
we want to give you something to master, you know, because the power of fantasy that is earned is far more satisfying than the one that is just handed to you.
He said that it handed a little bit too much to the player in 2016, meaning that some players got through some or all of Doom without learning how to play the way that the designers intended them to. Some players got the power fantasy without earning it. I'd consider that a problem, and I mostly agree. To fix this problem, id tightened every screw holding Doom's push-forward combat system together with the biggest, most Christmas present for dadliest, most powerfully powerful power drill available at Lowe's Depot. They took the varied enemy types, split them into 3 distinct categories, and added more, and added weak points. The weak points made the choice of which gun or mod to use much more important. Sticky grenades or precision bolts for burst damage to weak points, plasma rifle, auto shotgun, or heavy cannon for sustained damage for a kill. And the player starts with a substantially smaller ammo pool in Eternal, meaning that you need to use the chainsaw to get ammo more often. Of course, that means you need to think about your ammo more. Between that and the addition of the flame belch for armor, that's a significant increase in complexity just in the resource management. Doom 2016 is intense and challenging, but it's looser. Where Doom Eternal requires you to master several interlocking and specific strategies, Doom requires a much more general strategy. Be fast and aggressive, at least in my experience. When you're struggling, the solution is rarely using a specific tool more or managing a specific resource. Usually you just weren't being fast or mean enough. With a couple minor exceptions, active player-driven resource management in Doom 2016 begins and ends with health. Killing a demon with a chainsaw does net a lot of ammo, but that has more situational or emergency use than the glory kills, which are constantly necessary to maintain your health. Though, the thing you did to get health, hurting demons, was something you were already doing. This brings me to my most pretentious vocabulary word of the day. Aesthetic dissonance. It's just kind of a holdover from whenever I kind of wanted to be more like Game Maker's Toolkit and wanted to come up with all these fun new cool terms. But anyway, for my purposes, that means when something's purpose doesn't match its presentation. The best example of this in Doom Eternal is the chainsaw. In 2016, it had up to 5 charges that were refilled with gas tanks. Small enemies required 1 charge, bigger enemies required 3, the biggest required all 5. I'd occasionally use it to refill a gun that had gone dry, but usually I'd use it to drop a Hell Knight or some other troublesome weirdo. The ammo refill was the icing on the demonic cake that I'm cutting with a chainsaw. In Eternal, however, that habit got me into trouble. For one, it still has the size requirements. You can only use it on heavy demons when you have 3 charges full, but now, because you're using it to get ammo so frequently, that is much more rare. So now, I rarely use it offensively. Sometimes I'll use it on a fodder demon, something small to give myself a moment to think, but 99% of the times, I'm using the chainsaw to get ammo. Think about that. The primary thing that you use the chainsaw for is to recover ammunition. Does that make any sense to you? The flame belch affects super heavy and heavy demons less. They burn, but not as long, doing less damage and providing less armor. The most effective use of the belch is on a group of fodder demons, which are then quickly murdered to farm the maximum amount of armor from their sizzling, fajitas remains. I mean, the default key on PC is R, which is reload in tons of other PC shooters. I'd use the flame belch against a powerful enemy only to watch them shrug it off, or try to chainsaw one only to find myself embarrassingly at their mercy. The flamethrower and the chainsaw are not offensive weapons. They're restorative tools. Logic doesn't need to make sense in Doom game. It's a Doom game. There's demons shooting a hole in Mars. Who cares? But it does matter inside of human brains, and my human brain had a hard time wrapping itself around that concept, that these weapons' primary use was not offensive. This dissonance plus the game's bloated complexity, plus the speed of the combat, plus the cooldowns discouraging experimentation, all stacked on top of each other to form a brick wall that I had to break through to get to the fun zone.
We're comfortable with frustrating the player. Just so long as we have something to teach you, what we're doing is pushing you into a more fun style of play, we promise.
This dissonance seeps deeper than just a few tools. In the same podcast, Martin calls Doom junk food. I don't think that's right. When I think junk food, I think mindless snacking. Doom and New Doom are complex, intense, full-bodied experiences, from your brain to your clenched, whitened knuckles. When I think of junk food games, I think of something like Spider-Man or Mario Odyssey. Something pleasant, engaging, maybe even with a delightfully crispy mouthfeel, but rarely, if ever, particularly demanding. I'm like fine with background noise, but that is a bit much. They require so much focus, you're thinking every second of it. That's what all this shit is for. All the weak points and cooldowns and shit is to make your brain have to focus on stuff.
And thinking is really what we want you to do in Doom Eternal, more than anything else, because when you're thinking, you're engaged. And when you're not thinking, you're bored, and you'll go play something else.
That's not junk food. I mention the junk food comment because I think the disconnect between that idea of Doom and the game Doom Eternal turned out to be is important. Doom 2016 is almost universally considered a success, considered by many, myself included, to be a masterpiece. Doom Eternal's critical consensus is something closer to a shrug. Most of the critics I follow didn't even finish it. I think a huge part of this is Doom Eternal's strictness, its eagerness to kill you. Hugo Martin talks about From Software games a lot. I mean, so does everybody else, and you can see their influence all over this game, especially in the way they handle player death. From Software games aren't the only games that relentlessly kill the player to teach them how they should play, but they are infamous for it. Constant player death is deep in their DNA. When you die, you drop your souls, which function as currency and experience points. You can recover them and lose nothing, but if you die again before recovering them, they're gone for good. This mechanizes death beyond a simple press space to continue loading screen. That's not even mentioning how death and despair, the cycles of failure and success, are baked into their aesthetic narratives and themes. Doom Eternal wants this. It wants to turn death into a learning experience for the player. Fucking seesaw guy over there sees something, wants to saw it. Calling me?
So we really went through and we tried to shore that up, to make it, to hold the player accountable, to not let them out of the fun zone. You know, the fun zone is managing resources, it's doing all these different things, it's thinking constantly, it's using the right tool for the job, it's diving into progression. You know, it's what you'll see, shooting weak points of enemies, you know, all these different things. And when they don't play that way,
we kill them.
I'm a diva out here on my fur-covered rock.
What if we went over there and asked him to stop because we're shooting?
This is Polar Bear. Wants to push them into playing the way it should be played. Wants to force them into either getting into the fun zone or getting dead, but... Okay. In every FromSoft game, you're just like this little guy. You're just like this little guy. You're just like this little guy in a dark, dangerous, and nightmarish world. Every game starts with a nearly unavoidable player death. They tell you that you are not special, you are not powerful, and that the coming game will be a painful... But this game puts you into the shoes of the Doomslayer, a demigod, a force of pure violence and rage with his own castle in space, and then kills you like a tiny, weak-brained baby idiot. I'm not saying I wish that you couldn't die, or even really that I think this is a problem. Like id, I also think that the power fantasy that is earned is better than the power fantasy that is handed over. And I think Doom Eternal's power fantasy is potent, aromatic, and flavorful. And, well, once I completed Doom Eternal's boot camp, once I had the muscle memory and skill required to access the fun zone, it's good. Turns out the fun zone's a pretty cool place to be. But I think lots of people expected a chunky, goofily self-aware, easy to learn, hard to master, big, dumb shoot game for weirdos, like Doom. Instead, they got a tight, precise, hard to learn, hard to master, extremely designed by video game designers as video game. Hello. How are you? What did you think? What did you think of Doom Eternal? Are you horny because it's warm? I think New Doom is going to have a critical reevaluation once it's been separated from the expectations as a follow-up to Doom. I'm not going to do any of this part here. No. The joke is that the band that put the phrase "Punk's Not Dead" on their album cover is The Exploited, much like CD Projekt Red exploited its workers to make Cyberpunk the hit video game of 2022, at least according to my wife. Baby! Okay, so this is not scripted. This is notes. Goodbye, Rosemary. I would also bail if it were an option. I don't know how I'm going to do. This is 82 slides of notes, but it's the rest of the video, and I gotta just do it, or else I'll die. So before I get into this, I think it's worth explaining something. This level, this play session, this video, 2 hour and 41 minute video of gameplay. Told you it's not scripted. Resources, the increase in speed, the extra layers. Before I get into this, I need to explain something. The following covers the 2 hour and 41 minute gameplay session that is the reason that this video exists. This is when Doom Eternal clicked for me. We're getting close to that one moment that reframed everything that came before it. I think everyone who has played more than a half dozen or so games has experienced a click like this before. A shift from, this game's weird, to the controller and I are one. This is the kind of moment that I wanted to look at with this series, to understand what makes a game click, why it doesn't work before, why it does work after. Because, like, how does a moment like this happen? Why now? To find out, we're skipping past day 4 and 5, past the Doom Hunter base, past the Super Gore Nest, to day 6, the Ark Complex. So with that out of the way, ahem. Now it's all red again. This I like more. Spooky means fighting. Oh man, I am just like, this is not written down on the red spooky screen. Just thinking, just seeing day 6-1, this level gets moving quick, which is the first note, the first line that I have here. I like am feeling it in my chest. God, this level's so fucking good. This game is good. This level though, except for the part that's not good, which I am also going to get to. And then mostly not really talk about anything after that. This level gets moving quick.
I spend a couple minutes spending my points. I can see a murder of cacos floating around a giant spire outside. Then I take a normal elevator ride down. I make sure to keep my arms and legs inside for the duration. After waiting for it to come to a complete and safe stop, I attempt to exit the elevator, but I'm interrupted by a group of demons far less concerned with their own physical safety than I am. Some of these are kind of funny jokes. Good job, old me. I wait for the right moment and then lunge into the room, tossing a plume of flame into the foyer, before brawling with the careless ne'er-do-wells. A couple imps up the staircase start raining fire on me, and as I'm explaining how their behavior could be hurtful, a prowler appears behind them. He's got a mean right hook, but mine's meaner. Then I hear some gunfire down the hall. An imp jumps out to say hello, and I reciprocate. I BBQ the remaining twerps, then unload on them before jumping in to finish the job up close. Enticed by the sounds of more nearby gunfire, I head down the hallway. A big beefer busts out of a nearby window, but I don't lose my stride. I dance around the wall, putting something between the two of us, while I chip away at him with the splash damage of my rockets. Goodbye, Rosemary. After softening him up from safety, I decide to finish the job, jump out with a super shotgun, dodge the flames he spits at me, meet Hook up close, and blasting him dome. That's not what I wrote, but it is what I said out loud. I squash Big Beefer's meathead friend, check out the weird door, find a Big Beefer baction bigger, then smash some chairs with my ass, first on accident, then very on purposeful. A trio of chumps shows up to yell at me for this, but I won't be stopped. I will smash chairs with my ass. A big fella comes through the now opened weird door and gives me the business. Mix sick synths persist into the loading screen, keeping me focused. Damn. If you played this game without Chrono Strike, I do not understand you. This is scripted, but I am also just saying it because I'm thinking about it after I wrote it. Why would you play this game without Chrono Strike? Why? Shout me out in the comments if you're stupid. Now you better give me 2 comments. For every person who says they're stupid, there has to be 2 comments. Or else I want somebody to dox them. That is a joke. That was a joke too. Rosemary, my beautiful, perfect hair, Rosemary. How will anybody like my YouTube videos if my hair's not beautiful, perfect? Shout me out in the comments if you think Rosemary's a good hairdresser. What was I talking about? This is John Wick to me. This section, right here, with the Chrono Strikes, the dodges, it's fucking incredible. I use the same rocket strategy on Big Buffer, but go for his gut this time. I blast the rest of the creeps, then kind of panic when faced with 2 aggressive melee enemies, the Hell Knight and the Pinky. I retreat to find some breathing room, but the Pinky's right on my tail. I leap over his charged, blast that ass, and then slit his fucking throat. A Prowler thinks he's slick, slinking up behind me, but can't teleport with a meat hook stuck in your gut, can you? As I'm heading back down the hallway, the missing Hell Knight shows back up, looking a little worse for wear. I don't remember how he looks, but he's probably got some... Fuck! Where is it? Demo damage from earlier. He's got a mean right hook, but mine's meaner. This is my left hand. I take a few steps into a Ruinian convenience store, then a Reaper bus in. Again, Revenant, not Reaper. I give him a missile sandwich, and then jump down into the next room. I fight with a lot of heart, but not much accuracy. I guess wanting it more counts for something, though, because I pull through the guitar's climax and fade, and I have a moment to catch my breath. So this is what I'm talking about. This is how to open a level in motherfucking Doom Eternal. This is fast. This is vicious. There's a small opening with a little peek at your goal, and then a non-stop hallway fight for the next 4 minutes. The tighter the normal hallways give this fight a unique feel. It is John Wick to me. This is John Wick to me. Also, you can see the color change. That's because this is a point. I'm making a point. Oh no! They're coming! Did you guys like my bit? Where I pretended to be scared from from the cube telling me that it was running out of batteries? Circling a mountain of skulls that are on fire, destroying waves of enemies is certainly cool, do not get me wrong, but there's something about this intimate, up-close combat in just a normal office building that gets me. That's true. I think I'm talking about Super Gore Nest, which, ugh, the Super Gore Nest. But I'm right. Shout me out in the comments if I'm right. Anyway, after a quick breather, I crash an office party, announce my presence, head through a crowd, shaking a couple of hands, stopping at the snack bar, and then make the rounds. This is the other thing that I like about this kind of fight. Doom Eternal generally wants you to get in a rhythm, running a circuit around an arena during a fight. Many arenas are built like skate parks, with paths crisscrossing them. Sometimes they're symmetrical, sometimes they aren't, sometimes they have boosts and teleporters, and swings or traps. Sometimes they don't. Every big fight encourages this circuitous. That's right. Shout me out in the comments if I'm right. Twice. If I'm right, you have to shout me out both times, because if I'm right about the one thing, then I'm right about the other, because good people are good, and everything they do is good. There are no good actions, just good people. And corporations and brands make video games. I never run along a single path for very long. I hop in and out, reversing, changing course, whatever I need to do in the moment. I use the term circuit because you could kind of run them like that if you wanted, but the demons usually just get in the way is all. You'll be able to engage with demons, retreat, quickly scoop up resources and power-ups, with lots of opportunities to get airborne.
Doom is like being in a Ferrari going down the road, 200 miles an hour.
Its levels should be like racetracks, but an office building isn't the kind of thing that normally has huge semi-symmetrical circular rooms. They're small, tight hallways connected with other small, tight hallways with the occasional, lobby. I kept fighting through the same way, though, but instead of large circles, I dashed through, around, over enemies, back through, and back through like a pendulum. But one with lots of guns and explosives. I thought I heard a sound that sounded like a child screaming. Shout me out in the comments if you were a child screaming nearby my house at 7:29 p.m. on October 8th, 2022. I'll call the police whenever you shout me out in the comments. Shout me out in the comments if you're a cop so I can block you. I still have to move or I'll die, but I have to move so differently. Is that how I meant to write that? So differently. I could go on, but it just rips. It's so fucking fun, even to watch. Ahem, okay, let's keep going. Notes, not a script. After the office party, I dip into a hole, headbutt a mecha creep so bad his head blows up, go down the stairs, then get in another hallway fight, get out of another hallway fight, head up and out of that room, and... Did you notice that? By the way? How the music changed as soon as I crawled out of that hole? Good idea, game. Let's take a second to take a look at how the music has been changing during this level. This section is called Dynamic Soundtrack. Get it? At the opening, the song playing is Sam's bass. It has an aggressive and driving lead, but it's muted, low key, ambient, perfect to let you know that you're not fighting yet, but you will be very soon. Then, once the elevator lands, the music ratchets up its intensity, transitioning seamlessly into the song Armored Response Coalition. The lead melody's basically the same, but less muted and with some heavier percussion. It briefly cuts the lead, leaving percussion and sporadic and bassier synth. It adds background screeching synth to build to the return of the lead. As I head back down the hallway, it plays with this track, drifting back and forth between the two different parts, maintaining the general level of intensity.
I don't claim to be an expert. There are probably some holes in this explanation, but the way that I understand it, dynamic music systems like this work with stems and triggers. Essentially, the composer makes a chunk of music, or a stem, which is then connected to a trigger in the game. The music can be written as a full song and then split into pieces, or written as pieces and then knitted together later for an OST release, as it seems was the case for Eternal. Regardless, these stems are then connected via tech magic to specific triggers in the game.
It might be wise. I know that. Wise. That's what they call it. It's not my fault. I didn't make it that way. Shout me out in the comments if you made wise, and you can apologize for doing that.
These can be crossing the threshold between two rooms, clearing a room of enemies, the player's health, the amount of enemies near the player, the direction of the camera. When triggered, the music system will transition from one stem to another, sometimes with a small transition to smooth out any seams. Often, the game will allow the music to get to a pre-designated point in the song where the transition would make musical sense.
The amount of enemies near the player one, that specifically, there's a bit earlier in the video where there's the one whiplash left at that one part of the cultist base, and the music like drops in intensity a lot because there's just one enemy left. But it's still not gone because the threat's not gone. Ugh, fucking perfect.
I hear something. I'm not alone. Me. That's a very bad thing to still be alive.
Such a good game. Good game.
Eat my huffs. Fucking narc!
Blizzard apologized to Mick. Whatever happened, it's not his fault, because he's too good at making music to make mistakes. Shout me out in the comments if you're too good at music to make mistakes. So far, we've seen the low-key but still driving ambience of Sam's bass. You know what's funny is the bass player in my band's name was Sam, which flowed into the more intense Armored Response Coalition once the elevator crashed and we saw a bit of the variety in this track. Notice how when the music muffles when I'm in the weapon wheel, it does this in other menus as well, cutting the intensity, but not the momentum. When I die, it does the same thing. I mentioned that just a minute ago. When I dash around the display case here, I back up into the trigger, which brings out the heavy stuff. The impossibly badass track, the only thing they fear is you. Ugh, what a good song name. I think this is really where it's obvious how triggers can be connected to invisible tripwires. The peak in intensity is clearly supposed to be paired with going through the door into the larger room with the bigger fight, but mine triggers when I'm still inside the little convenience store with the Reaper. Again, Revenant, not Reaper, but like I said before, even though the trigger maybe didn't sync with my play the way it intended, the guitars kicking in let me know that there was a bigger fight in the next room and I was ready for it. Ugh. Rosemary, comb my hair. Ouch. The same fight moves into the adjacent room. I kill the last enemy, a small transition plays, and intensity drifts away, leaving a spacey play off the main melody. This is the first room without enemies, and the first room where the music lowers in intensity. When I'm ready, I drop into a hole, and immediately the medium intensity track Armored Response Coalition starts back up again. I drop into another hole, and it backs off again. Then Big Beaver shows up, and it ramps back up again. I'm sure it'll eventually peak again when I get to the next big arena, and then back and forth, flowing with the waves of tension and relief created by the level design, amplifying those sensations for the player. But I've gone off on this enough. Back to the thing. Again, probably would have smoothed that. This next section of the video is called Back to the Thing. So, this fight reintroduces the purple goo from a while back, but this time in the middle of a big combat arena, forcing you to stay airborne. Holy shit, did you just see that radical long-distance head stab, is what I wrote. No. 2.5 years. And this freaking Chrono Strike? This Flame Belch? Could've been better, but dang, I really messed these dudes up with that Ice Bomb. Damn, holy moly, that's a lot of guys. Wait, dead. This is what my notes are like. The radical move with the meat hook, blasting the Reaper Revenant into a stagger state, then stomping his stupid, shrieking skull. That's why I wanted to read through this, because I knew there was going to be some things that I liked saying out loud, like stomping his stupid, screeching skull. If you'll indulge me, which...
Shout me out to the comments.
I'm going to show you, me, hurting them in slow motion, because I think it's radical, and for no other reason. If you don't like it, shout me outs in the fucking... I blast the two on either side, staggering each of them, blast all three with a flame belch, stomp one, stab another, turn to face the third, pull out my shotgun while he tosses a fireball at me, a fireball which I effortlessly sidestep with a dash, putting me in the perfect position to use the shotgun, which he does not sidestep. It's over in less than 10 seconds, and it is extremely, extremely John Wick to me. For my money, can you tell? Can you see? Do you? So, for my money, the gold standard of action game combat is John Wick. Not the video game, no offense, I just haven't played it, but the movie and its sequels. Basically, if a video game can make me feel like John Wick, I'm happy. In other words, if I'm required to think and act quickly, to improvise using a variety of tools and my environment, to display a situational awareness to both protect my uninvincible body and destroy my opponents, brackets, and all this flows and blends together into one experience, and brackets, then I'm happy, brackets, examples, and brackets. That part about not being invincible is important. I often play games on a harder difficulty setting, not because of the added challenge exactly, but because because, well, it's cooler to overcome a challenge that's actually challenging, and that sucks. So I'm going to try to think of something better right now, but it's basically, that is what I'm... Okay. This looks radical. I'm dodging, weaving, swapping weapons, making choices, improvising. This is John Wick to me. That's how it works. Cassie, what's the John Wick theme song?
Ba-dum, 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 ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da.
Anyway, I do a bunch of stuff, find a big key that opens a door to a special encounter where, surprise, I meet the Tyrant. The Tyrant is a gigantic damage sponge. He towers above the battlefield, accompanied by his squad of Satans firing missile salvos as you try to avoid dying while preventing them from doing the same. Shout me out to the comment. He takes a long, long time to die. That's basically his job. And he graduated fucking top of his class. I really like this guy because he's just big. He's just big and hurts. And he looks cool. He's not really that complicated. Ah, god damn it. Stupid bad gun. He's big, he's got big dumb horns sticking out of his weird forehead, his meat flies off in interesting ways, and reveals a fucking Terminator-esque metal skeleton with the red eye and everything. Shout me out to the comments if you have a Terminator skeleton with the red eye and everything. He's cool, and I fucking love fighting him. He's a towering statue dedicated to everything that New Doom does well. Not just well, actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna say it. Notes, not a script. I'd argue that when you're in a big fight with a tyrant, you're probably getting a taste of the best this video game has to offer, which I would argue is a taste of the best combat in an action game. Period. Actually, asterisk, period. Asterisk. The word, not the fucking. I didn't put asterisks around a period. I didn't do that. Get this video to, you know what? Let's shoot for the fucking stars. Get 2,000 likes on this video. No more and no less, and I will get asterisk, period, asterisk tattooed on my body wherever I want. You don't get to choose that. Shout me out in the comments if you do want to try to choose that. I'm not really going to defend that statement too much. The one where I said that Doom Eternal has the best combat in an action video game, period. 1, because it's very subjective. 2, because I have to apply too many qualifiers because I don't remember what these qualifiers are. This is a new experience for me. Bad.
Hello. I'm coming to you live from Rosemary's room. So there's this part here that is a tortured metaphor, but it's a load-bearing tortured metaphor. So imagine if Doom, the first one, if the original Doom were a sun-bathed grape, and you used that grape, you smushed it, you use grape. You use the grape to make wine, nice wine. That wine would be Doom 2016. This is the tortured metaphor. Just let me get through this. And then you take that wine, put it in a pan that you just cooked some onions and meat in, scrape some of that gunk off the bottom, let it simmer, maybe add some seasoning, and then, if you were to stir in some green Sour Patch Kids, then you would have Doom Eternal. Well, it's later. We're going to meet the Sour Patch Kid in just a little bit. Don't you fucking worry about it.
It gets so close to an ideal. Like, so close to achieving a true and timeless greatness. So close that it gets there. To be honest, I'm gonna remember the first 20 minutes of Arc Complex for the rest of my fucking life. For one thing, because I spent 2.5 years, probably, let's be honest, 3. True timeless greatness so close to actually gets there, and then we'll get there in a little bit. It's October 8th, 2022, 9:41 p.m. now. I have just returned driving Teen's friend back to Teen's friend's house. And I reheated some pizza. I'm gonna wait. I microwaved the pizza because I needed to eat it quickly so that I could come back here so I could finish doing this before I have to stop doing it, because I don't want to come back and do this again. I don't want to come back here. I don't want to get back in this mode. But also, I learned some sad news about my teen's friend. That's none of your fucking business, but it is sad. And so I've decided, in order to attempt to maintain my energy, I'm going to do that. This fucking project has been over my head for so long, and I've just decided to just lean into the vibe that I'm in. Again, I said that a minute ago. Good job, and have fun editing this later. Not my problem. There was a reason for going into all this, and I remember it, and I'm still talking about it. Didn't work. So, I gotta live here, and I would like to do fun stuff while I'm living here, because I got my own fucking shit to deal with. So yeah, I'm gonna release multiple versions of each video, I think. And this is gonna be in there because this is an emotional experience for me. I'm coming back to this video that I have all but given up on after years, and the only reason that I'm doing it is just to get it the fuck out of my life. So I decided to yell emotions into a camera, sort of. I tweeted too. Ugh, of course I tweeted. Of course I tweeted. Of course I tweeted. That's the push and pull of this combat. The mutual pursuit. See, sometimes you just gotta go back in, you know? Okay, I cut out the mutual pursuit part. I'll get back to it. The point was, demons are the perfect enemy for a big, gory shoot game like Doom. They are purely, uncomplicatedly, and unambiguously evil. And they're big, scary monsters. So whatever scares them must be... Rosemary. Must be a bigger, scarier monster. Both suit the power fantasy. The only thing they fear is you, and they are obviously deserving of your unbridled wrath. I've praised that song and its name before, but it's kind of wrong. I'm not going to try to plot hole Doom Eternal, but the demons are absolutely not afraid of you. When you drop into a big pit of bad guys and immediately rip the head off of the largest one and start popping other heads like wet, stinky balloons, they don't hesitate for even one moment. They instantly try their hardest to kill you and don't stop until you ask them very nicely, but only if you ask with blood and bullets and not words like please and shank you. It's what it says. I'm reading it. It's not my fault. Okay, here's the mutual pursuit part. You're always on the move, running from one fight to another. Even when you retreat, it's usually towards a fight with a weaker enemy, never away. As you chase them, they chase you. They never really run away either. Unlike, say, the grunts. They're like 4 feet tall. They're the lowest rung of the hierarchy within the Covenant and will flee in terror when the fight starts going badly. This does kind of rule. It makes you feel powerful, like the Covenant Armada doesn't stand a chance against you, which is exactly what they want you to feel like. They double down on that lone, unstoppable idea hero in the sequels. Thanks for the Halo analysis, past me. But it feels different now. Halo came out a long time ago. Here's a small story about when I played Halo for the first time. My friend Patrick had an Xbox. Can I tell you, to be honest, I do not remember where this goes. I'm just reading it because this was... My friend Patrick had an Xbox, so he invited all his coolest friends and me over to play Halo, 4-player split-screen multiplayer, eat pizza, and play hide and seek. That's what it says. It says it was super duper fun, and it was super duper fun. I don't know about you, but I'm really different now. You may have not even been alive. This is a picture of me then. I thought about everything differently, and usually less. The grunts are like an enslaved underclass, like canonically, and they run around and oh no, and they're fun. But not when you think about it. They're members of a holy armada sweeping across the galaxy, subjugating all in their wake, sure, but they're called grunts, like officially by themselves? Is that true? They're specifically used as cannon fodder. What kind of life would a grunt have? What kind of ways do grunts get to spend their time when they aren't getting stuck with plasma grenades or bashed in the back of the fin thing? It's a one-hit kill to bash him in the fin thing. Why is it a one-hit kill to bash him in the fin thing? Other than it's in the back, and that's where you hit people when you're sneaking. Master Chief, this is so small. How can you expect me to read this bullshit? I'm not trying to say that Halo is some poor person murder simulator or anything, though there are a lot of those out there. It's not like this issue bothered me even earlier this same year when I replayed Halo for the first time in years thanks to the Game Pass release. What I'm saying, though, is Doom gets to skip this shit. Doom gets to completely sail by all of it because they're demons from hell. That's fine. This fight takes place around a huge pillar of flesh in the middle of what looks like it used to be a functional human settlement. These guys are dangerous and they're mean. It's fucking mean. But they're the hierarchy among demons alluded in the Codex. Why is killing lower rung demons of hell less awful than doing the same to members of an imperialist alien armada? They destroy entire planets too. Yeah, but these are demons from hell.
Well, Doom got away with it. New Doom.
The Slayer has arrived. All mortally challenged personnel, please be advised.
Join the official Mortally Challenged.
The mortally challenged have mortally challenged.
Remember, 1 minute can be an offensive term. Refer to them as mortally challenged.
Is the joke that the demons are sensitive about what they're called? Is the joke that the culty humans call them something that sounds like less bad than demons, like for themselves? Is that the joke? I'm struggling to think of a way to take this joke other than as a thoughtless mockery of, quote, PC culture, unquote, quote, social justice warriors, quote, woke, whatever. When you do a joke, it's important to understand the thing that you're actually making the joke about. For instance, when I did my super funny joke where I called the Halo rings God's hula hoops, I'm not really concerned about anyone feeling that I'm mocking any religion, because the joke is clearly about how funny it would be to see an old white man with a big beard and a big white bathrobe hula hooping with a halo ring in outer space. That was also a joke, but my point is that if you're making something, you better fucking do stuff on purpose. One of the things that I loved about Doom 2016 is that the more you thought about it, the better it was.
I love the Ranchwater logo very well.
I like that. I want to support it. Maybe it's a hit. Maybe they give me a bunch of money for it.
Right?
It could happen.
It really could.
Not really, but that's
You gotta
fine.
start posting on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah, that's why it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Doom Eternal is complex and interlocking. But it works. Even its missteps, what I consider its missteps, you can see how they got there. You can see the line of thinking. You can see the problems that they were trying to solve, however imperfectly. But this is awful. This is a lame joke on the same level as naming a comedy special Triggered. I don't just not like it because it's insensitive. That is part of it. I just think it's really bad. And they repeat it so many times. Give me the dog. My friend. My friend. you're so stupid. You ruin everything, don't you? If it was one throwaway line, whatever. They can't all be winners, and people who write for games like this have to write a lot. But no, it is repeated over and over and over, which shows they liked it. This was put here on purpose.
For what purpose? What's the joke? Because you'd assume if they called the demons something, that the demons would have had something to do with that? Like the demons would have wanted to be called mortally challenged? Because that's what it is if it's a PC culture joke, right? I'm not like I don't feel like that's like an overreach. Because again, you got to do stuff on fucking purpose. If the joke is that these are social justice warriors misguided and trying to soften the image of the demon, do you see what I'm fucking getting at? If you draw a line from mortally challenged to PC culture, you necessarily, like by what it means to put stuff next to each other, draw a line between demons and the kinds of people who ask for different terms to be used for them rather than ones that hurt their feelings.
Earth is the melting pot of the universe.
I don't make up the rules. This isn't like, I'm not coming up, this isn't just off the top of my fucking, I mean, I am literally like, I am doing off the top of my head, and I haven't been reading from the script for a little bit because I'm pretty sure that's where I'm going with this. But like, it's so rude to have, okay, I'm going to come back to it because I think that I'm going to get back to the thing that I'm, quote, politically correct, unquote, terminology does not just pop out of nowhere. It isn't usually just invented by the dominant culture to make the cultures it dominates feel better. Usually. Like, so, okay, did the demons ask to be called mortally challenged? Did they ask? Or did the cultists just start calling them mentally challenged? Mortally challenged. Sorry. See? It's easy to make that mistake. Because that's what they're referencing. You know something else that I did when I wasn't playing Halo? When I was 11? I forgot to read that part. Sometimes, when I was walking through the hallway with my cool friend Patrick, we'd pass the kids in special ed. Sometimes, not all the time, but enough that I can remember it distinctly. We make jokes about how they looked or acted or call them names. And then I got older, and then I learned some things, and now I would never say things like that ever again. Because now I understand what kind of damage I could do by saying a certain word. I've had my share of damaging words said to me. I would hate to inflict that on somebody else. So when someone asks me to not call them something, I'll stop. And that's what PC culture is.
Remember, minutes can be an offensive term. Refer to them as mortally challenged.
Can it be annoying? Kind of, to have to try to keep up with certain terms? I mean, in the same way that it's annoying to have to eat and sleep every day, maybe? That's just kind of part of what being in a world with a lot of people is. You know, like, I think it's kind of part of your job to try to be nice to people, and it's just kind of part of it. Is that idea funny? Is that the message that id wanted to send? whenever it did the mortally challenged joke. Like, again, this is such a fucking small part of this video game. This is one line, but it is one line that they repeated over and over. Is that the message that id wanted to send? That other people asking to not be called something that makes them feel bad is worthy of mockery? Is that what they wanted to say? Because if they wanted to or not, that's the message that I get from this. That it's embarrassing, that it's funny. I don't really want to talk about this. I want to talk about the music and the glory kill animations, but it is here, and I think that it's the most obvious piece of a bigger problem that I have with this game, which is that I can't play it with the HUD off. It says hard cut. After witnessing the birth of the tyrant, I do a double take because there's a second gigantic horned demon that I haven't met yet, and I immediately piece the fuck out, and I take a relatively ineffective shot. It took a long time before the sniper rifle was anything but a rake to be stepped on. Damn! Take a second, even less effective shot, basically panic, then get totally crushed by a pincer move by a couple mancubi. This video game tells me that maybe it's a good idea just to come back later, and I oblige. I learned a while ago how not to ruin my own fun in a video game, or at least some effective strategies. This game is already very, very good at helping you ruin your own fun, and I was having so much fun. I skipped some stuff here. It's fine. Before finding the way forward, then I swing into a party where swinging is clearly not acceptable. That's a swinging joke. Whoa. What did you think of the swinging joke? Let me know. After exploiting the Reaper's weak point, I give him a very unweak point blank blast with my meat hook holster. Whew. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try that one more time. After exploiting the Reaper's weak point, I give him a very unweak point blank blast with my meat hook holster. That gave me anxiety. Then I find the first audio log of the entire game.
This is Dr. Elena Richardson, log entry 002. Subject analysis of Doomslayer, January 24th, 2163. There is no chance that the subject is a demon. We have blood samples pulled from the Mars base.
After a little under 11 hours of gameplay. That's interesting, isn't it? The first audio log is 11 hours into the game. In BioShock, you find the first in like 6 minutes. I'm just fucking pulling that number. But why now? Its creator is Dr. Elena Richardson, a scientist with a deep and tired voice, who apparently studied you. Her findings are as follows. 1. You are not a demon. 2. You are, by all scientific measurements, human, though your blood contains foreign bodies of unknown origin. She then sighs deeply that the Doom guy's superhuman abilities and the fact that literal demons are invading Earth, quote,
It has definitely shaken my scientific resolve.
I'm not gonna say put a pin in this. For some reasons. Shout me out in the comments if you want to know my reasons. And then follow me on Twitter. And then prove that you have done the highest patron thing. And then... Did I already say follow me on Twitter? And then message me on Patreon to tell me to accept DMs from you. And then DM me, and then I'll DM you. Why? I didn't want to say, put a pin in this. I do some more stuff. Sorry if you don't like this. I'm doing my best. And move on to find a second audio log. I didn't even know that this was left, but I just know. Because I remember. Because this game rocks in it.
This is Dr. Elena Richardson, log entry 005, subject analysis of Doomslayer, February 2nd, 2163.
This log starts with the line,
Maybe he is a god.
and just kind of goes on from there. I don't remember what it sounds like. I'm gonna listen to it. Ugh! Like, you see? Shut the fuck up. Now, 3 or 4 years ago, on March 26th, 2020, when I heard this log for the first time, I loved it. It made my blood hot. This fight is kind of a breeze, and that's partially why it's so fun. I am just cutting through these fools, and I fucking love it. I just fucking love it. An ingredient to this particularly delectable demolition derby. I wrote in brackets there. I showed you enough. You know that I do. An ingredient to this particularly delectable demolition derby that I haven't directly acknowledged yet is the visual feedback of the flame belch ability. The visual feedback of the flame belch ability is good. I've talked about how rad it looks when the enemies burn and explode, but it looks so cool that it makes me want to use it, which is perfect because this game wants you to use it a lot, which is partially why I'm so grumpy about its upgrades. I already talked about this in the video. Doom Eternal is its resource management. It knew this and made sure managing those resources felt so badass that calling it resource management is like having a cold one with the pals, ingesting toxic liquid compounded with proximity to the pals. That was another 7 straight minutes of straight corridors filled with demons. 7 straight minutes of tight, juicy, blood pumping first-person shooter combat. I'm amazed, sitting here, writing this on September 20th, the year of our merciless Lord 2020, that a game this good, that I like this much, just sits in my Steam library. Today, at 9:21 p.m. on September 20th, 2020, with no campaign completion achievement, I have written 18,000 words about a game I spent months thinking about it every single day. The game that I said earlier had, and I quote, the best combat in an action game, period. There is something wrong with that. And you can say, but they made the fucking video game like this. And we haven't even gotten to the part that really is why. And I've beaten it now. I have no interest in reviewing the game. I have no interest in talking about the game past Arc Complex, because after some more stuff, I get in a fight in a restaurant on my way to find Robo Space Oil Baron Samuel Hayden. He decided that a suitable replacement for planet-poisoning fossil fuels was Argent Energy, or Demon Fuel, which he and his corporate death cultists in their Martian oil rig literally frack hell to exploit. In Doom 2016, Whenever you weren't in hell, you were in an ARC facility. Now, with an expanded tool set, faster movement, and meaner enemies, you're back in a familiar setting. What better place to bring you now when after this big fight, in the largest arena so far, we drop into a sewer full of sticky purple goo, forcing a dramatic change in gameplay speed. I'm drawing attention to these shifts in tempo because this is pacing.
Now this is pacing.
Doom Eternal doesn't always do a great job at this, but the Arc Complex, it's just perfectly paced. They just did it. Right. The game opens with a small hallway, teasing a demon-infested arena, and then 7 solid minutes of escalating action, which drops off for a single room, followed by a room with a small fight, and a stairway with a smaller fight, a medium room with a bigger fight, which rolls into the biggest arena fight of the game so far. There's a small breather as you find the big button to press, which immediately spawns a pinky, drawing you into another big but slightly smaller fight that introduces a tough new enemy, which rolls into an even smaller fight. And I'm saying rolls as in like, it is continuous. You move forward, and in the process of moving, attract new spawns, which then as you move forward just in the path, like, they literally roll into each other. Which leads to the first exploration segment of this level, 20 minutes in. The next 10 minutes are substantially less action-packed, but not enough that I don't feel like I'm playing a Doom game. Then, around 40 minutes into the level, the dial turns back up, 15 minutes of near constant combat. There's the climb up an airplane crashed into a building, a fight in the crater, the airplane left in the building, up the stairs to the top, across a gap to a neighboring building through its flaming halls. Then we get a micro break. Jump down an elevator shaft, then the restaurant fight, comparable to the outdoor fight with the goo, then a slightly smaller fight outside. Then at around 55 minutes into the level, we get a small break to complete an objective, after which we descend into an elevator, which leads to another series of hallways with small fights that roll into each other before landing in this big, layered arena. About 8 minutes of constant combat. Another 8 minutes later, we've crawled through some goo, fought a couple of small fights, completed our second objective.
One moment.
This is good pacing! Doom 2016 is a spectacular, perfect video game. Of the things that aren't perfect about it, that matter to me, one of them is its pacing. It often feels like challenging and interesting arena fights with other stuff in between, rather than whole levels with their own flow. This level flows. It's made of severely visually distinct areas, each texturing new Doom's spectacular combat in different ways. I've talked about how its tight corridors squeeze new Doom's race car combat like a plump, ripe orange flavored gusher by Gushers to eat on video. This unique quality is exploited by level designers to turn the hallways between the larger arenas into a haunted house. Monsters popping out of corners and windows, and only you're the real monster. There's a story in Noclip's Doom Resurrected where Hugo Martin talks about the gore nests. They're essentially a button you press to start a fight.
Blood, pops out, there's this huge scream, and then boom, like the fight's off. But we were betting on the audience that that's what they wanted to do. We had 1 or 2 people say, oh, well, should I avoid these? This is early during tests, and we're like, I don't think anybody who paid $60 for a Doom game is going to avoid a fight.
The Arc Complex baits you down its tubular halls by packing them sardine-like with, yes, demon gushers, enticing you to sate your bloodlust at a full sprint. In this one's humble opinion, this is why tying exploration to necessary upgrades in so many words sucks doinks till the sun goes down. Doom needs exploration, Doom needs secrets, Doom needs downtime. Doom also needs to be fast. And pressing pause on the carnage to go on a scavenger hunt or to figure out how some timed swing puzzle works are just not very rip and tear to me. The best thing I did for myself during my playtime was intentionally suppress the primal urge to get stuff. I picked up the stuff, of course, but I stopped going out of my way. I stopped using the map or otherwise dawdling for the explicit purpose of getting stuff. I knew, however, that by leaving stuff unacquired, I was intentionally handicapping myself. An unappetizing trade-off that I believe many less mentally disciplined gamers out there might not make. That's a joke, BT dubs. Mentally disciplined is exactly how I would describe myself. This was easier. Talking this long makes stuff happen in your mouth and throat and nose. It's not my fault. This hallway Hell Knight fight is a great example of the kinds of challenges they I mean like they as in id Software. And by they, of course, I mean the corporate executives at Bethesda Softworks id Software. You know, I've said a lot of times that people don't make video games. It's sort of wrong because CEOs and executives make video games. And that's why they should get all money that comes in from it. And nobody else. Also, video games should be $90. And they should all have a subscription fee. Then we stumble into an open and flat arena fight in a parking garage. Predictably, it rules. The single story element forces yet another flavor of arena combat. And then the riff from the only thing that they fear is you. It rips! I've been saying that for years, way before Doom came out, and now people are gonna think it's because I say it because of Doom, and I say it more because of Doom. But I said it before, and nobody liked it then either. Exit the garage, proceed into a second goo-infested fight, do some spinal surgery, then go absolutely Jackson Pollock with a small pod of punks, finishing this not insignificant challenge with full health and armor. How fucking jealous are you of me? Inside, we find the third audio log. In it, Dr. Elena Richardson gushes about the power of the Demon God.
Lies our salvation. For as he gains in strength, so do they fall in numbers. The priests command the armies to the north and south, but he controls the fight. The inner circle of death is where he resides, hunting them at the far reaches of the earth and beyond. I am a believer now. I feel it is in Doom that I have faith. The Slayer is the spear that stabs at the heart of our attackers, and those that would seek to harm us should feel warned. For there is only one dominant life form in this universe, and it carries a steel-barreled sword of vengeance. All hail the coming of the Destroyer. The Slayer's time is now.
I am a believer now, and it is in Doom that I have faith. I am a believer now, and it is in Doom that I have faith. This is the moment. This is the moment that made me want to make this video. Here, my objective within reach, my enemies crushed. Here, at the end of the 6th level in Doom Eternal, the Ark Complex. With its familiar halls, which, in their familiarity, remind me of the differences between now and then. The Ark Complex, with its tubular level design, both figuratively and literally, which gives my race car speed a new context, a contrast, some salt to its sweetness, enhancing the flavor, which follows Hell on Earth. A pretty easy starting area with a big hard fight at the end. Exultia. A land of contrasts, with its towering architecture, hellish lava pits, which, though not frustrating, definitely has its share of challenge. The cultist base, the gut check, the test to see if you understand what Doom Eternal requires of you. Doom Hunter base, which ups the ante with its one-on-one and then two-on-one boss fight, testing if you understand what Doom Eternal requires of you, but more, and introducing a super heavy demon, which, like, I think I talk about super heavy demons in one of the other ones, so I don't need to, but, like, that's funny. The Super Gore Nest. Again, not unchallenging, but without the gut check quality of the previous two levels. And then, finally, the Arc Complex. If you zoom out, you can see the meta pacing. I think I just demonstrated that. The cultist base isn't harder for no reason. You're introduced to the Mancubus and the Whiplash there. Both demand a lot of focus and decision making. Some people didn't get it, fine. But me? I got it. I got it hard. And I get Eternal hard. But there is something that's not quite as there. And I'm 90% sure that I get to that in a minute. I'm almost here. Wait, look. Let me show you where we are. It's so funny that I had a chapter on pacing.
Now this is pixel.
If you're watching the special patron unedited, sort of edited video, I've decided that that one's patron exclusive. Is the one that's like totally not edited. This is definitely going on the first YouTube release because people pay if they hear about what they get and it sounds good while they're listening to the free thing. I have to think about this. I have to think about how to trick you into giving me money. And I'm going to do it with as little tricking as possible, I swear to fucking Christ. Sorry. I have to make money and to live in the world. And I can't work for people anymore. I'll die. I'm too stupid. And weird. Or whatever. What was I talking about? Pacing.
Now this is pixel.
If you zoom out, you can see the meta pacing. The cultist base isn't harder for no reason. The Doom Hunter base is a dang boss fight. It's the first boss fight. Then there are two levels without significant new enemies. Basically, you meet the Pinky, who is kind of a big deal but has a really simple weak point, and two souped up versions of bad guys you already have been fighting for a while. These guys aren't gonna make you fucking panic or whatever, unlike some new guys who come up later. So here, though it's, again, not unchallenging, I think it's likely that most players struggle less during the Super Gore Nest and the Arc Complex. This is just a guess. I don't have data, but I bet if you got data, it would support the thing that I'm about to say, with one major caveat to that people who've played the game already know about, but people who don't, it's a fun fucking surprise. I can put my bird's head in my mouth if I want. That it happened in the Arc Complex is by design, and this audio log is my evidence. As he gains in strength, so do they fall in numbers, but he controls the fight, hunting them at the far reaches of the earth and beyond. I am a believer now. I feel it is in Doom that I have faith. Those who would seek to harm us should be warned. This shows me that they know, that you feel it. Now, in the cultist base at the beginning, he taunts you by questioning your ability to overcome the challenge before you. This isn't like new. Hugo Martin has spoken about the way that people talked about RoboCop makes him seem even more badass.
You're like, people bow to me. That's how badass I am. And I'm just sleeping, you know? And later on, when you touch the Slayer's testaments, you know, and they talk about you like you're a god. I mean, that is basically that actor leaning forward to RoboCop and being like, you're gonna be one bad motherfucker. Like, they're basically saying, like, you know, he's this wrecking machine. We have to seal him away.
I stood still, listening. This audio log earned my attention in a way that none of the other frivolous world building had. Remember me closing all those demonic comics? I ain't talked about those in a while. Because I don't fucking care. I am a believer now. And I feel it is in Doom that I have faith. Like, fucking, there's a lot of ways that I feel about that right now. To be honest,
So that's it. The moment that inspired me to make these videos. How was that?
Good. Is that all you're recording?
No, I'm going to do more, but I just... Dr. Elena Richardson's sermon. I am a believer now, and it is in Doom that I have faith. And it is in Doom that I have faith. Praising the player as if they were a god during the exceptional and nostalgic Arc Complex, a valley in the game's difficulty curve that delivers the fastest, smoothest play experience I had during my original playthrough of Doom Eternal. And then, the next thing happened.
Okay, can you, like, give me a warning next time?
No!
I got your mouth in my ears!
they designed teleprompters to put out a lot of light of a drastic color so that you know what the person's talking about. You can tell that I did have a point, but now that I'm in a fight, because it's spooky. Obviously, I planned this. Obviously, I made the red ones red so that you got scared whenever I talked about the fights, because they're scary, because they're against demons, which it's okay to kill. So anyway, back to the thing. After being hit with the Mack truck of emotion that I felt after hearing this audio log, I stepped away from the computer, probably to grab water and maybe some more weed. I knew that this moment was special, and I loved the specific verbiage so much that I opened the codex to write it down. Unfortunately, I remained silent on the audio recording, so I can't tell you exactly what I was feeling. That's why, for later in real-time videos, I will record the video of my face as I'm playing the game. I have not made another in real-time video yet, because I've been waiting to try to finish this video, and by waiting, I have to finish the video or else I'll die. After the short break, I walk down a red hallway, goodbye Rosemary, peek into a very red room, and find a suspicious bounty of fresh supplies. I just remember what's about to happen. I ascend a green elevator to another extremely red room before meeting some nerds who give me a cool skull totem. Like the cool jock I am, I ignore the nerds and advance up to the steps. In classic Doom guy fashion, I ignore the plea. I ignore the nerd's plea for restraint and claim my halved prize when suddenly a portal opens. Through it walks the Marauder. He readies his weapon. A tutorial pops up explaining his strengths and weaknesses. Just a fucking real quick side note. They may have done some patching to this. I don't know. If I'm too close, he uses a shotgun. If I stand too far away, he'll throw projectiles. Keep him at mid-range, the pop-up reads, and shoot him when his eyes flash green. Great, I can handle that. I've played video games before. I understand timing, I understand tells, I understand positioning somewhat. Predicting a tough fight, immediately after dismissing the pop-up, I pause the game to make sure I've spent my points. Satisfied, I resume the game and begin the battle. 24 seconds later, I'm dead. Okay, take two. This round starts okay. I get in a couple of decent hints, but after 54 seconds, I'm dead. Round 3, I try some different tactics, but after they fail, I reload. Take 4 goes better, but still ends badly. Take 5 does not go much better. Take 6 takes tits. Take 6 starts so badly, I reload before even firing a shot. Take 7 reveals that, well, now I'm afraid of this guy. The brazen aggression of the previous takes melts into a mess of unplanned movement and chaos. Take 8, 9, 10, 11, all go the same. Take 12, I start reloading out of frustration, and again for 13. 14 goes bad, 15, 16 stops before it starts, 17, take 18, I start quick switching between the super shotgun and the ballista to try to maximize the damage output. There are times when I'm out of ammunition that will hurt him, I'm out of demons to juice, and I'm out of chainsaw fuel. So, like, I can't heal and I can't get my ammo because we're trapped in a tiny room together. Push forward combat. Battle chess. Combat chess. Combat chess. Battle chess is a different thing that came later. 19. There are times when he, in his aggressive pursuit, kills me while I'm darting around the room trying to flame blast and stagger a nearby demon. There are times when one of the demons kills me, when I'm turn my attention to him. 20. I checked my key bindings to remove the weapon wheel switching as it's getting in the way and causing accidental switches. 21. I couldn't tell you how many super shotgun blasts this particular chump can stomach, but I'm confident it's more than the maximum of 16 available to me. It's a guess. I haven't looked at data. Shouts me out in the comments if you had. That one's real. I do want to know that. Get that, and if you know that information, get that to me by any means necessary. It doesn't have to be shouts outs in the comments, because just learning that information is useful to me. Whereas shouts me out in the comments if you want to be useful to me. I fucking love capitalism, and corporations make video games, not people. (22) I attempt to burn him down as quickly as possible, aggressive with my flame and ice attacks. I have to relent to recover my ammo. I grow to hate the dog. 23. I didn't know at the time the dog's vision obscuring bites actually reduce your movement speed for a few seconds after they connect. I hate the dog. 24. There doesn't seem to be a limit or cooldown on the dog summoning, as I can see, as he often requires a momentarily disorienting weapon swap or one of my precious shotgun shells. 25. I couldn't tell you where the short range ends and where the long range begins. In other words, I couldn't tell you, even now, watching this footage, what mid-range is in this context. There are segments where it seems like mid-range extends a distance of 3 or 4 feet. 26. The Marauder moves fast. Faster than any opponent, almost as fast as the Doom guy. I hate the dog. It is without exaggeration the only opponent you have to aim down at in this entire beast of a digital entertainment product. 27. Look it the fuck up. on the internet. Google, can you shoot? Is dog the only thing you have to point down at? I would have to. It's the only thing you have to point down for, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in microseconds, they made the video game on purpose. 27. The dog can appear from nowhere and snack on your back unfettered as you are surrounded by minions and assaulted by the Marauder. I learned that spacing in this fight is absolutely essential after 37 grueling minutes on take 28. 37 minutes on take 28. I kill I vanquished my foes, what I wrote. I was scrolling, I couldn't get back to it. So, remember earlier when I compared Hair Doom to Exquisite Grapes, Doom 2016, to wine made with that grapes? No, it's not a script. And Doom Eternal as a perfectly seasoned reduction made with that wine with a couple of green Sour Patch Kids added. Remember how I said that earlier? The Marauder is one of the green Sour Patch Kids. Also, when I was talking about the Doom Hunter fight, I never talked about the Doom Hunter fight. I deleted all of that. It wasn't even kind of important. I mentioned that it was the first instance in a kind of one-on-one fight not suited to the strengths of Doom Eternal. Fuck. That's why it was relevant. The second Doom Hunter fight is way better because there's a lot more fodder demons. By the second Doom Hunter fight, I mean spoilers. I'm talking about a later spoiler. When you beat the first phase of the Doom Hunter, and by that I mean when you kill the first Doom Hunter, the Doom Hunter does have a first phase, but that's not what I meant. The first phase of the whole fight. And then drop down into that icy pit where there 2 more Doom Hunters spawn right in front of you. I don't know what your experience was, but mine, and I know because I watched it, I didn't show it to you, but I know, and there'll probably be right here some more of it. The second part's way better. It's not just it's harder, but it's better because the first I spent minutes. Probably. I didn't count it like I did this, but I spent minutes running in a circle waiting for demons to spawn, and that's not fun. That's not rip and tear to me, nor is that John Wick to me. And this fight's got the same fucking problem. The second Doom Hunter fight does not have that problem because there's a lot more demons spawning around you, which makes it both harder and easier because of how the game that they made is. The resource management shit, I talked about that earlier in this video. The way what was I just talking about? Resource management is Doom Eternal. This game, this boss fight is not resource management. This is fight the guy right management, which I'm going to keep going because I feel like I might come back to this, but I might be wrong. Point is, that's the only thing that was relevant about the Doom Hunter fight. I can't go through all of that just for that one idea. Like the last boss, the Marauder starts showing up in regular fights later, like the last boss, meaning the Doom Hunter shows up in regular fights later. It rocks. Doom Hunter's a great enemy. Every time he shows up, I want to stop playing the Marauder. Hugo Martin typoed that as Huge Martin, which honestly sounds like a rad dude with lots of dude.
The Marauder. In Doom,
you're going to be kind of leveled up like a martial artist. In the first hour, you get your white belt. A couple hours in, you get a blue belt. You're going to work your way up, and at some point, you're going to become a black belt. And when you're there, then the third act of the game, it's more about just showing off just how badass you can be. And the game is kind of aware that you have your black belt, and there is another black belt out there waiting to face you. You are Obi-Wan, and this is your Darth Maul, and you guys are going to have this awesome fight. You're going to fight a couple times in the game, actually. He's going to hold you accountable. He's going to see just how good you are at the Doom Dance. And when he's there, he is definitely like a queen chess piece on the board. And he is going to create a lot of openings, as I said, with the other guys, for the pawns and the other chess pieces that have been out there that you've been kicking their butts the whole time. So it makes for this really interesting meta where you're going to want to try to get rid of everybody else. Kind of like in a good Bruce Lee movie. When the Grandmaster comes out, you got to get rid of the white belts first. He's awesome.
Okay. All right, this is the last page. This is going to take the whole time, but it's the last page. We're going. The Marauder feels like Doom Eternal's attempt to mimic one of FromSoft's famous dual enemies. Many players, myself included, love the fights in that game against an opponent with comparable build and abilities. However, Doom Eternal is not a Souls-like. It's a completely different game with a completely different intended experience. Go ahead. Oh, I didn't even know there was a guy. I was talking about the cars. I could hear the cars. I know, I wasn't gonna be. This is fine. Walk your dog. The Soulsborne games lead a vulnerable player through a dark and dangerous world with near-instant death lurking around every corner. In Doom Eternal, there is a song called "The Only Thing They Fear Is You." In Doom Eternal, a scientist records an audio log discussing the player as if they were a god. The Doom guy is an unstoppable avatar of destruction, and now he has an opponent with a comparable build and abilities? And then he's just a regular enemy later on? That sucks. That sucks, and in fact, I do not like it. See, my complaint isn't about difficulty. It isn't about how hard the Marauder is. The Archvile is involved in more thicker brick walls to my play experience than the Marauder, but I kind of like him. The problem with the Marauder is fighting him is not rip and tear to me. He requires too much singular focus. Some of the fights are almost empty outside of him, drastically shrinking the role of resource management in fights against him. And, like I said before, Doom Eternal is resource management, which is good. The resource management puts pressure on the player that results in the quick decision making that makes Doom feel like Doom. Resource management, microsecond strategizing, this is where all the feelings like Rip and Tear and John Wick come from. The Archvile is a support demon. He makes entire fights harder. My old nemesis. You think it's the same plane?
Yeah.
Do you...
Yeah, I think they're tracking your GPS.
Yeah. Is he making videos again? Yep, better make them bad. For national security, gotta make my Doom videos bad. The Archvile is a support demon. He makes entire fights harder by summoning and buffing demons, by harassing and evading the player. He demands your full attention, but alongside the Horde and their juicy multicolored pickups. You've got to use your entire set to get around the masses and gut him as quickly as you can. Fighting an Archvile is hard, but ultimately rip and tear to me. Fighting a Marauder involves dancing around him, getting slowed down, and eventually running in circles waiting for fodder demons to respawn. I don't feel like I'm single-handedly ripping through a horde of demons. I feel small, like I'm the one against the unstoppable opponent. That's fucking backwards! The next day, I don't play Doom Eternal. The following day, I play Doom Eternal.
I disrespect some people. The Doom Hunter makes his first appearance as a regular enemy. This is part of a couple of slides called The Rest. I use an extremely big gun to shoot a hole in Mars. Still good. Disrespecting the people is also really good. I take a piece of it to function as my own very large gun. That's the big gun that I shot a hole in Mars with. That's the BFG, the famous BFG. And again, to speak of the meta pacing, it's not a coincidence that you get the biggest gun in the game right after fighting the hardest enemy in the game. That's all I'm saying. I descend into the hole that I shot into Mars, reach a portal in a ruined city that takes me to what I assume is Doomguy's old stomping grounds, Sentinel Prime. There's
Demons.
some...
They are everywhere. Must kill them all.
Dress his wounds and bring him to us.
narrative. I fight a large man with a shield. I don't really remember this fight, in case you haven't picked up on it. My time going through this game with a fine-toothed cone is over. I wrote cone, and I left it because I thought it was funny. I knew as soon as I heard the final audio log from Dr. Lena Richardson that I was in love. I also knew that I wanted to make a video about how Doom Eternal made me fall for it. Now I've done that. Oh, I'm finished. Wow. It's 2:22 a.m. 10/9/22. Now I'm going to put on screen. Every time I get to this, screen cap what time it is and the date and put it on screen now. But unfortunately, the story doesn't end there. What follows is how I fell out of love with Doom Eternal, but the gladiator fight was cool, I guess. Eventually I win, I go home, but the angel lady has turned off the power. I turn on the lights and explore a bit before jumping into the portal to the next level. I approach a large set of doors, kill its guardians, and punch a couple of buttons until the door opens. Instantly I'm hit with a huge projectile, another marauder. I quit the game, I go to bed, I wake up and open Doom Eternal and begin a new game on Nightmare. I know because I recorded all of everything. I do this for two reasons. At this point, I'd already decided that I was going to make this video, and that an important point I wanted to talk about was the tutorialization in the first hour, so I wanted to take another look at it. Number two, I did not want to fight another marauder. I remember that fight too. That fight also sucks. At least they have the decency to have it in an open area so you can like run and jump around. A day passes, then another, and on the fourth day I return to Doom Eternal. I begin the mission. I read online. In the gap between play sessions, that splash damage gets around his shield, so I make use of that. Eventually I win. This time it only took 10 solid minutes of fighting and a total of 5 tries to fight one guy. I miss the frictionless flight through the gushing halls of the Ark complex. I'm told that this is the point of no return for the campaign, and I take this as an opportunity to return to some of my old areas to collect some more trinkets. I'd played New Doom for almost 2 hours, but hadn't had the experience that I wanted. I felt like I did back at the cultist base, like I was being tested. I was through being tested. I wanted to rip and tear. After another hour, I quit for the day. I didn't return to Doom Eternal for 26 days. When I do, I enter the Soul Factory. I battle through the Soul Factory. I meet another marauder. This time, fancy footwork and like twice the health lead to a quick victory because I just spent my points. I got better stats because I went back and explored. The boss version of the marauder is not the worst marauder fight that I experienced. The marauder is the same. It's just the one guy, but the arena is what's different. While the other few fights were on a small long bridge, a squarish arena, and a small hallway, this takes place in a large circular arena with plenty of spots to swing around. And he, like in the one square arena, shows up at the end of a fight of not insignificant challenge. I fight in the way I've been bred to, the way I've been conditioned and trained by the video game. I run, I swing, I jump, I dart around, I take what I need from the intermittently spawning fodder demons. Occasionally I stop and duel the marauder until I'm low on health. Then I run again, jump again, except just around a mostly empty arena. The mutual pursuit of the best Doom fights isn't here. I'm not running from one fight to another. I'm just running from a fight. I don't return to Doom Eternal for nearly a month. When I do, I don't play my most recent campaign save. I return to the Super Gore Nest. Though I do have a great time, I'm actually playing to try to get specific bits of footage for my video. I turn off the video game when I return another full month later, return to the campaign, however, not from my last save. I restart Necrovol 2, so I have the opportunity to shake off the rust. It turns out to be a mistake. I play for a full hour and 20 minutes and end up quitting before getting to where I was previously. I quit the video game. 2 months and 6 days pass, during which I finished the first video and moved. I also got a camera and a better microphone. I play for 2 hours and have a great time, but I don't fight a single marauder. And that's the end of my notes on this video, these videos, because that's it. I stopped wanting to think about Doom Eternal after that. And not gonna lie, it kind of breaks my heart a little bit, just saying it out loud here to you at 2:37 a.m. on October 9th, 2022, because it's an unforced error. I don't want the video to end on a downer note now. Okay. So while I'm making all the rest of this, I gotta figure out a new way to end it. Because I can't just end with, and I stopped wanting to play the video game. I beat it. I fought the Icon of Sin. It wasn't fun. It's not exactly disappointing, the game, because I believe I can't think of a game with more potent combat than Doom Eternal.
The Marauder doesn't work. He's dissonant with the power fantasy. I think this, the dissonance with the chainsaw and flamethrower's role as restorative tools, the jarringly interruptive tutorials, and even, though more abstractly, the epically incomprehensible narrative, all come from the same place, which is Doom Eternal, wholly and entirely, 100% prioritized the fun zone above all else, even its identity as a rip-and-tear power fantasy. Doom 2016 was not a game developed with a clear and focused vision. It began as a grounded shooter with military tropes, then redirected into the goofy, self-aware, retro revival we got. It didn't shed everything from Call of Doom. Doom Guy's size 17 boots were still planted firmly in something resembling our reality. And I believe this loss of grounding, a loss of connection to Doom Guy as a character living in a world, is a result of Eternal's laser focus on its combat. Doom is a combat-forward game. Its combat is the primary reason to interact with it. However, the other stuff is still there, part of the experience. Making a power fantasy is about more than just combat. To address how this relates, the Marauder is a dual enemy, an enemy designed to give the player a particular combat challenge, an enemy that feels about as, if not more, powerful than you. Not very rip and tear to me, potentially John Wick to me, but I personally never quite got there with this guy. The chainsaw and flamethrower were transformed into restorative tools, shrugging off any human logic for the sake of the fun zone. The flow-breaking tutorials pull the player aside, sit them down, and explain the gameplay mechanics to them to ensure that they know what they need to know to access the fun zone. With every dial turned to 11, the world design had to follow, shedding the darkened, alien-inspired, chunky sci-fi corridors for fantastical, marbled castles. Its narrative turned its focus from a disabled Martian drilling facility to a demigod having conversations with full-on gods about ancient artifacts. None of these are necessarily, other than the Marauder, bad decisions. I think some of the decisions around the player arsenal and the tutorials have merit, and Doom 2016's escalation from grounded corridor space shooter to bombastic fantasy only really works once. Once you go to hell, it's hard to go back to being mysterious about the connection between the cultists and the demons. I think going big with the world building was the right move, but the execution left something behind. I talked earlier about how I played Doom with the HUD off. This grounding, this embodied sense of place as the Doom guy, existing in a world and doing what he does best, is why I love it. The loss of that, I got distracted there because I wrote a note down, which is he literally lives off killing demons, and it just felt like appropriate in that moment. So I'm just gonna say this, and I can figure it out later. The loss of that is why I never really bothered to play like that in Eternal, despite the fact that without the HUD, I'd instantly die. Doom transcends its gameliness. Eternal is buried by it. The first half is good to great, but its learning curve is a bit too steep, while the back half's difficulty curve was way too spiky, kneecapping any feeling of empowerment. So, to answer the question posed at the start of this project, no. New Doom cannot top Doom, though it gave a valiant effort. And the soundtrack is another goatee. Mick did nothing wrong, Marty. Apologize! I think I'm done with this. I might put this at the very end of the video. This would be a good thing to put at the end of the video, I think. You want to say goodbye, Rosemary? No, she doesn't. You guys want to see her? I won't charge for this. This is a freebie. I love phone and learning from it and participating in society. Little Rosemary, Rosemary bird, is she a bird? Such a small bird. And if Rosemary is a bird, well, she's a tiny little bird. That's good enough. Sorry, I didn't realize I was going to do that until I did it.
So confused.
I didn't realize I was going to do it until I did it.